Okay, so hi everyone. Those of you who are coming on live and those of you who are listening to a recording. This is the question and answers, all your questions about bars, the 32 points in the head, and also the class. And afterwards, the next step, which is foundation, 4 days of change. So I just wanted to start with a story of how I found bars. So my husband actually took a bars class in 2010 in Korea, and it's quiet here. And so he was always swapping bars, which is basically a gifting and receiving. It's a place where people would meet, and for his swaps, he would watch a movie with a whole bunch of people and they would run bars, which is the purpose of watching the video or the movie is to actually bring up all of these thoughts, all of these considerations, and be able to release it while you're having your bars run. So he did that in Korea for a few years, and then he came to the States, and I knew him at that time, and we met up. And once in a while, when we were driving off to our faraway adventures, he would mention that he knew of these 32 points on the head, and I was just never interested in it. So fast forward, and hi Yosa. So fast forward to 2 years ago, 2017, and I received an email inviting me to a different possibility, and it was called the 7-day in Costa Rica. And I was like, wow, I really want to go there. I have no idea what made me choose that, but I chose it. And then I looked at the list of things that I have to do before I can get there, and one of the first one was bars class. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll take this class just so I can get there. So Yosa, if you would like to unmute yourself, do you have space to talk? Because Yosa was actually one of the bars facilitator that I was looking at to take this class with. So hi Yosa, how are you?
Hi Annie. Hi. I don't have super much time, and I'm just here, to support you and be here. And I have to go in like 20 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. This is a short call, so
okay.
Great. So Yosa was one of the people that I was looking at, and I didn't really know what to expect, what the bars was, why I even would take a bars class, and I just chose it because it was one of the prerequisites. So
Sorry, I'm coming out of another dimension, so I'm a little bit like, woo, where are we? I just knew I had this call, so
yeah, so you were actually one of the bars practitioners and bars facilitators that I was looking to take a class with for the first time.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So, and for me, bars was just a step, and I never really took it seriously. I never even knew what could change with having your bars run. So change this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And now after all this time, well, after having my bars run by you, it's there's this sense of peace. There's this greater connection with myself and with other people. And all the things that was hard for me to do, to step out and actually experience and do and be, came more easily after having my bars run. And for my son, oh, I love that. I love your ceiling with all the shadows. It looks like a star.
It's a light. Yeah. It's a really cool light. It's like forest. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So yeah, that was my experience. Well, my first experience with having my bars run, I felt nothing. I was like, okay, why am I here? This is kind of a waste of time. Interesting point of view. And during that session, there was one point where I did feel something, and it was when my creating life forms and creating connections was touched, like the point. And I felt like a flash of lightning in my belly. And it was very quick, but it was very pronounced. I knew it was something happened, and I asked whoever was running my bars, which point did you touch? And she said, creating creativity, creating life forms, creating connections. And a few months later, I found out that I was 3 months pregnant. So 3 months later, I found out I was 3 months pregnant. So that's my story. And then I noticed that I became less cranky, less depressed the more I was having my bars run. So, do you have a bar story that you would like to share?
Oh my God, I could totally get my bars run right now. Well, I mean, I can tell the first time I had my bars run, I didn't have a clue what she was doing, and but I was kind of desperate to get some ease because I had been in a lot of discomfort for many years. You know, and trying to find solutions in all kinds of modalities and yoga and meditation and all that stuff, and I would get like these like, you know, tiny little pockets of that. But then when she ran my bars, that healer that I had at the time, she, I remember just like, you know, I just knew that there was a shift. You know, there was something that really changed, like radically changed inside me. And I got up off the table, and it was just, it felt like a miracle. You know, I was like, what is this? This is a space that I know it's real, but I've never been here before. So yeah, to me it was a huge, you know, it was a huge shift. And yeah, it was really light and bright, and stayed with me for a while. But things started to really change and shift as well in my life. So, you know, there was all kinds of stuff that happened afterwards, after the two first times, that really needed to shift in my life, but I had a resistance on it while it was happening. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's like, you know, we see in access bars, I've been now practicing it for like maybe 7 years, and you know, I can usually see, you know, when it's really like shifting stuff for people. And sometimes it happens like the first session, definitely. And other times it happens after like maybe 2, 3 sessions. So we can never really know. It's not ever like, you know, this is going to happen or this is how it's going to look like. It is really different from person to person.
Yes, definitely. Like each experience and every time you get your bars run, it's a whole different space of possibilities.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Elaine, do you want to share your first bar story?
Yes, Hi, Annie. How are you?
Great.
Um, oh, welcome back.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so my first bars experience, I took the class with my son, and in August last year. And I remember feeling just so at ease. I was so relaxed, and I just felt like it was the best, like, it felt like the best spa experience ever, but like times 10. It was just so relaxing, you know. I just enjoyed it. And I remember for my son, when he had his bars run, it was just so funny. He just kept talking and talking, and I was just like, really? Is this normal? Like, is this supposed to be like? I was thinking, you know, when you get your bars run, you're just lying down and you're sleeping or you're resting. And um, the facilitator said, anything, can happen, and he can do whatever he wants to do. So it's like, okay. But at the time he liked Winnie the Pooh. So he's talking about Winnie the Pooh and all this stuff. It was really funny. But I remember during the session, he kept saying, I love the bars. I love the bars. And it was interesting because um, on our way to the class, he kept saying something like, he was feeling down, he was feeling sad. And it was a new thing for me where I just kept hearing a lot of this negativity. He hadn't done this before. But after his first session, he kept saying, he said to me, he said, Mama, I feel gooder. And and I was like, oh my gosh. And that just it was just, affirmation that this was just going to the class was like the best choice for me and my family. And I don't know, I just felt so much relief that day. And you know, I I've told you this before, Annie. I homeschool, and I started Constantine. I started homeschooling when he was about 3 or 4, and I was one of those tiger Asian moms, just very strict, and would sit him down and be like, "You gotta do your schoolwork. You gotta do. You gotta make A's. You have to." You have to sit down and do everything that mama says. And after, I think about a week after we had the class, I changed. Like everything about my outlook in homeschooling just shifted. And there was just this idea of, it doesn't have to be like this anymore. What if homeschool can be fun for both my son and for me? And that's how you know, I've, it was interesting. Like my son kept telling me before bars, he's like, Mama, you don't smile a lot. You don't smile enough. And he would tell me, smile, Mama, smile. And I'll be like, I'll do a smile. And he's like, no, that's not smiling. And, these are so, they're so aware. They're so smart. And so that's one of the biggest things, I think, with access consciousness and the tools and access bars is it's opened up my awareness. I listen to my son more. I listen to my husband more.
Mhm.
Things are just lighter. Like we use the tools every day, and I mean, it's just been such a blessing, such a grace in our life that it's hard to explain. Like, it's just been wonderful. And wherever we go, we take trips here and there, and we use the tools. We use to, if someone's feeling sick, not feeling well. We were in the Philippines in November, And there were a couple times when my son was, having tummy issues, and he didn't, you know, um, and so I just do a simple body process with him, and like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, he was ready to go. It was like nothing had happened. Um, but yeah, I just feel gratitude for access, and just someone was just brave enough to do a Facebook Live. One of my Facebook friends, who's also a holistic health coach, and I listened. Luckily I was, curious, and I listened in, and I was like, oh, this seems really interesting and something that could be helpful for a lot of people. And I'm just really grateful, you know.
Yeah, and
So
that's a great point that you have. Like, someone was brave enough to like post about it, and because of that, you were able to, you know, discover like the access bars and discover the tools and actually have it and be invited into your life. So that's so
yeah,
cool.
definitely, for sure.
And do you have any questions about what is the bars? I know you've taken a few bars classes, or the next step, which is foundation.
Yes, foundation. I'm so excited. So what I've heard about foundation, from two friends in the Philippines, they said, and they've taken foundation. They said it was a game changer, one, and it was life changing. And for them, because they're practitioners, and one's a facilitator in the Philippines, um, they said it definitely helped them in with finances. So with money, um, it was a big game changer for that. Um, and um, and then one of them said she did mention about the body processes, which, I mean, access bars is, of course, the first class that you would.
Oh, okay. So I'm not sure if I'm the one who's um, losing connection or if it's Elaine. Elaine, we can't hear you right now, so I'll give it a couple of seconds, see if it'll come back on. And if not, so she's talking about the foundation and two practitioners and two, oh, I think, is that Dottie? Okay, so she's talking about, was that Dottie that went by?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay.
I actually, can I share something? Because
Yeah.
I seriously, I laid down for a moment and I just ran my implant band
Mhm.
and a few other bars points, and it's sometimes just crazy how fast it can just change everything. So I just want to acknowledge it. It's like, and you can, it's, usually we won't maybe run our own bars, but sometimes in emergency situation we can do that. I mean, it's definitely, we can totally do it. It's not as amazing as maybe receiving from somebody else,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I just did it. I'm like, woo, okay, now I'm ready.
I love that. So, so what Elaine was talking a little bit about was foundation, and she heard from people who have taken foundation because she's never taken a foundation class before. She's
Wow.
everybody's saying it's life changing. It really is. Like, it changed people's points of view and their actual financial situation. There's so much so many parts of your life that can be touched and can be changed from this class. And of course, you have the body processes that you can learn in the class, and then all the different tools. Like in the manual alone, there's like almost 100 pages, and there's so many tools, so many different questions and processes that you can go through. And even just reading the manual over those 4 days will create a change. So, hi Elaine, welcome back. Oh, here, unmute. Okay, so have you heard any questions? Well, I have a few questions here that were sent in, but does anybody else have any questions about the foundation?
Briefly, what is foundation?
Okay, so the
I mean, I've taken a foundation class, but people are like blank. They're like,
it's
what?
like,
So, yeah, so just few words like, what is
it's
foundation?
4 days, 4 days long. It's the prerequisite is access bars, and wow, I guess the best way I can explain this is we took our first foundation as a family. So myself, my husband, and my 2 kids at the time. And my oldest son is autistic. He's never spoken. After the 4 days, on the 4th day, he started to speak, which is, for nonverbal, that's kind of a big deal. And it was funny because at the end of the class, he took his iPad and he played a song, and it was like goodbye, goodbye, it's time to go. So like everybody was cracking up. So yeah, there's a lot of different things like in the foundation class. It's learning the tools, the questions, learning body processes. It's learning how to change anything that's going on in your life into something that will create greater possibilities. So if there's anything that's going on in your life, like anything like finances, or even like something happened and you're cranky, there's a tool and foundation that can change it and shift it. And then you can go through your day happier, or at least less cranky. So, Elaine, you were gonna say something.
Sorry, I know. I don't know what happened. My phone just completely turned off. I don't even remember what I was talking about. I don't know. I don't remember. But I'm glad you mentioned that story. I love that story, Annie, about your son. And but after foundation, did you see leaps and bounds with just him with growth and everything and speech?
Speech, yes, definitely. Socialization with his peers was much better, and he was also able to use the tools more. Like, for example, if he's going through, so sometimes he perceives so much going on all around him that he tenses up or he starts throwing a tantrum. We can use some of the tools to kind of get him out of that space and into a space where he can ask himself questions and then choose something different. So it's great.
You know, that's the thing I love about Access is with like special needs children. And, because we are in a society that we look at things and we'll call this is a wrongness, like autism or ADHD or whatever. And I love how access doesn't exclude anyone. And what is it? It's just I love how access looks at everyone as, special, and everyone is a gift. Everyone has something to share, and I love that. And there's always a class for like with the questions that we have. Like I'll ask you about certain things, and it's like it's great that there's a class for. I know I'm sorry, I'm going off different tangent, and I know we're supposed to be talking about access bars and foundation, but anyway, sorry.
It's fine. Yeah, so that's definitely, you learn about the like no exclusions. That's one of the things that you learn about in the foundation class, which is really about being a space that includes everyone and everything, with no judgment, no expectation. And I love what you were kind of touching on, the gift that everyone is. And during those 4 days, you start opening up to the gift that you are and you be in the world. And it's really a class that empowers you to see what is within you and what you can change in the world and what you can change about you and what you can change in your life. So, with these tools and with your awareness. So, yeah, thank you. So, we have a few minutes left. I'll just so a few of the questions sent in was, what exactly is in the foundation class? What is the foundation? We kind of went over that. Can you talk about experiences from having your bars run? Yes. So why is bars a prerequisite for foundation? Okay. So bars really is a process, a body process that opens you up to receiving. So it could be receiving more information, which we call awareness. It could be receiving from other people because other people are running your bars. And sometimes when you're not receiving it, or when you're receiving not as much, then you're really limiting like how much the bars can change in your life. And I've noticed it with like new clients where they're like, their mind's going, they're like, okay, what's going on now? What's going on now? What's going on now? And when you're just receiving it and you do have questions, it's less of the, okay, so what's going here? It's more like, oh, so, it's a question that opens up to possibility. Yes, so once you receive the bars, your receiving has exponentialized. And then you can actually receive all of the tools in Foundation. So the last question is, what's next after Foundation?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so there's so many different classes available that Foundation unlocks. So basically, after Foundation, you can take a 3-day body class. You can take the COP, which there's one coming up in New York by Gary Douglas and Grace Douglas. And Gary is the founder of Access. And there's also a 3-day body class happening in New York in Oh, so both of these are in April. So, and then there's so many other different classes that you can take. And if you go to accessconsciousness.com, they actually have all of those. So that's it. That's all the questions. So is there anything else? Any last words from anyone? Yes, so before you leave, do you have any last words or
There was something that came to me earlier about the foundation. I mean, it's funny because there's this one woman that I know who just recently, she finished the foundation, and it's been a few years back since I did my first foundation. So sometimes it's hard to remember how was I functioning before, you know? But I asked her, like, what did change for you? And she was just like, just held everything, you know. It's you step out of that class, and I remember it from each time in a way that you step out of that class and reality, as you defined reality, is showing up differently, you know. So and as and that's one of the things that I take with me every time from foundation, is like, you know, how we create our own reality. So that's something that I really highly appreciate each time, that, you know, my reality is different each time, and I don't have to define it, you know. I don't have to make it, like, put it in a box or try to describe it or anything like that. It's more like the perspective of, you know, how I see the world, you know. And because we clear out so much in these 4 days, we clear so much out that, you know, it's kind of, it's almost like a trip, you know. It's a fun, it's a very special thing to experience. Yeah, so as my friend who just took the foundation, she said, everyone should take foundation class, everyone on the planet, just at least once. Yeah.
Yes. And it's getting there. I mean, I just came
Yeah,
from
right.
a global foundation, and 3,000 people were contributing. So what would it take for more people to come, for more people to experience foundation? So thank you so much. And I'll be posting this on YouTube and on the page. So come to foundation. Look for one near you, or if you want to come to New York, come to New York.
Oh yeah.
So
And when is it again? At the end of the month?
Yes, February 28th, 29th, March 1st, March 2nd.
Oops.
And then in are you Western New York or upstate New York?
They call it Central New York.
Central New
So
York.
Central New York, Syracuse area. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
March 24th. Is that correct?
20. Oh, yeah. 24 bars. And then 25, 26, 27, 28 is foundation.
Yeah, so yeah, cool. Come join us. Change your world, rock your world, live a new reality. So bye everyone.
Bye, Annie. Thank you.